All right, let's do it live on a Tuesday edition of Cleveland Browns Daily. I am merely Bo. He is the great Z. I like how that red pops on those strings, buddy. I like that. That's looking all right.
Yeah, baby.
They're looking
Well,
all
little
right.
red, white,
we
and
both
blue.
went navy blue. Look at us for Veterans Day. There you go. There you go for the people. Yeah, very, very cool.
Still
The
limber.
NFL
Still limber.
Still got it.
Still got it.
The NFL and the
Not as high as I can
USAA
put my leg, though, by the way.
official NFL Salute to Service partner announced this year's nominees for the Salute to Service Award presented by USAA. Each year, the Salute to Service Award recognizes NFL players, coaches, staff, alumni who make exceptional efforts to honor and support military and veteran communities. Cleveland Browns are proud to announce guard Wyatt Teller as their 2025 Salute to Service Award nominee. You saw the video, Carly and the kids down there in the facility with him. It was
very
awesome.
cool.
Very, very cool. A lot of my family served Navy and Army and all sorts of it, and obviously we've had connection with the Navy through the show. Some
the great
friends,
modes,
the great modes,
Prevets.
the great Prevs, and just incredibly humbled by those who have served, who have sacrificed it all for all of us. So thank you.
Yes. Absolutely. Great honor for Wyatt Teller. I know he's very excited about that. I got military in my family as well. Yeah, very special. And this is our Salute to Service game coming up this weekend. Then we got, let's see. This is our Salute to Service hoodie right here. There you go. Available right now.
There you go.
ClevelandBrownShop.com. Yeah, it's a good one. This is when, the kind of the two big awards that you can get from your team. Obviously, the Walter Payton Man of the Year would be kind of the most prestigious, and then this, I think, is right there as well, the Salute to Service Award.
Yeah, very, very cool and very deserving on that front.
Yeah, so there will be 3 finalists, and then obviously somebody will be announced as the Salute to Service Award winner for the National Football League. So fans, you all will have an opportunity to determine the award's 3 finalists by voting for their favorite nominee. 1 vote per day for each nominee is permitted per person. The 3 finalists will be announced in January, and the recipient will be recognized at NFL Honors, a primetime award special. To learn more about each nominee and cast your vote for Wyatt, visit NFL.com/SaluteFanVote. Voting is open now until November 30th. Listen, if we could get, as Browns fans, Peyton Hillis on the cover of Madden.
Yep.
I don't see how we can't get Wyatt to be one of the 3 finalists.
I feel like we can. I think that is a task
Let's
worth
go.
taking up for sure. I have to tell you, we are a little more than a week into the return to standard time. I can't get right. To me, it feels like everything after 5:30 is 9 o'clock at night. I am exhausted by 10.
Yep.
And I'm up at 5. Like I'm just wide awake at 5 a.m. My old sleep schedule was 11 to 6, and I can't get right. It's crazy that they do that we do this.
It's because of the darkness at night. By the time it's 10, you're like, it's been pitch black for 5 hours.
What are we doing?
Yeah.
It's just
hard to get there.
I've never had it affect me like this.
Well, and last night's game was a real snooze.
So I had basketball practice till 9. I got home around 9:15. It was 0-0 at that point.
They were so you missed. So at the end of the first half,
I saw 0-0, and I think that went right into halftime. Yeah, because at halftime, then I flipped over and watched about 20 minutes of Godfather 2.
God bless Joe Buck. But he, at one point, is like, it may be 0-0, but this is a real compelling 0-0 game. And then Van Pelt opened the halftime with, I got to agree with Joe Buck. I know it's 0-0, but this is really compelling.
Are you sure?
No, it was not.
No, it's not.
In fact, it was not compelling. It was so not compelling that I went back to the Manning cast for the first time in a long time.
I forget it's on.
That was so bad that I was out. Now, I didn't even stick around for Shane Gillis, which I probably would have enjoyed that. I'm guessing.
They probably put him at the end in the fourth quarter.
I'm a fan of Shane Gillis.
Yeah,
but let me tell you. So they opened with Bob Iger.
Disney?
That's right.
Why?
Probably because of the Disney carriage dispute going on right now.
But of
with
all
YouTube
the places
TV,
well, that's a choice.
It was a choice, and I thought it was horrific even by their bad guest standards.
Yeah.
In terms of entertainment value, it was dreadful. And then they brought on an actress from Abbott Elementary who Eli introduced as being from Abbott Elementary.
Oh,
and I'm like,
so they're doing PR for Disney is what they did.
Yeah.
That's what they did. If they brought on Iger and somebody from a television show that's on
ABC.
Oh, baby.
And I'm just like, this is
Wow. Okay. Those are choices.
goodbye. And you could tell Peyton wasn't thrilled with it. It was Eli was trying. It was dreadful. And I know you put on here Manningcast. Is that why you said that?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I tuned in. Here's the other
game was
problem.
so bad I thought maybe
they'd be entertaining. Yeah.
I love a comic as much as anybody.
So I didn't
But
see
when
any
you
of
put
Gillis.
them on TV where they can't do their act probably the way that they would do it in an audience,
Yeah.
it takes a little bit away. He was fine. I watched the game. I actually enjoyed the game.
Yeah.
I don't know why I did. Maybe I'm a glutton for punishment.
They're two good teams.
There were, and I'm like, at some point, someone's going to get going here.
Yeah.
And it just never happened, and then it was 11:30, and I was still awake, and it was great. I switched over to the Manningcast, and I'm like, what? Now you're just – it was a perfectly good thought and an idea, and now where is it gone? I don't know what you do to even fix this.
The problem with – I mean, there's a
over.
billion, but I mean, I think they had their moments. And it was all about creating these moments, and they had a lot of them that were really funny and really cool. But then once the novelty wore off, they don't have another gear. There's not another gear for it. And I think that one thing about the guest, it is one thing to have two brothers in two different rooms. It is something else entirely to have two brothers in two different rooms and have a guest in a third room while trying to also monitor a football game.
Yes.
It's too much going on. Even with the best traffic cop in our business, you couldn't keep that thing on the rails. And so they lose the game despite themselves. And then they
should be in the same
lose
place.
natural conversation for scripted nonsense. And so it's and I think they're all awesome. Like I think if Gillis is on last night, he's great, and I think Eli and Peyton are great. But like that combination just ain't it.
The first half was dreadful.
If you only do it like 10 weeks out of the year, on those 10 Mondays, Peyton and Eli just be in the same place.
Or say do 1 week at Peyton's place,
1 week in Jersey,
at Eli,
one in
and then-
Denver,
and that
and
way
go back
it's only every other week.
You got it.
And
You can't
bring
have
the
three
guests
different places. Yeah.
there. Yeah. Some breaking news, by the way.
Okay.
Travis Hunter underwent season-ending knee surgery with eyes set on a 2026 return. It was an LCL repair. Expected to return within 6 months to full football activities.
That's brutal, man. I feel for that kid.
Yeah. Yeah.
I could be wrong in this, but I'm pretty sure he got through college without anything significant from an injury standpoint.
Yep.
And you just have to, I think it's fair to wonder about the wear and tear of trying to do what he did for 3 years of college football and a year in the NFL. It's just so much. There's only so much the human ligament can take.
Yep.
You know? So
and the ironic thing is he's not playing nearly as much in the NFL as he was in college.
No,
And he got hurt in practice.
yeah,
Practice.
it's a lot of wear and tear.
It is. No doubt.
On the game last night, so I was thinking about this as it was going on, and then there wasn't any reason that compelled me to stay up. Like I saw enough, and I went to bed. But I was thinking big picture. We have, 7 weeks left, 7 games left, 8 games left, depending on where your buys are and all of those things. So 7 or 8 games left. Everybody's either played 9 or 10. Most teams have played 9 or 10. Do you guys recall, with this much to go, this wide open? I think you could go into about half the league. I think there's like 14 teams in this league who you could who if you walked into their facility and you said, "Do you think that you can win the Super Bowl?" I think like 12 to 14 would say yes.
Well,
I think
all right.
all
so let's
8
just, all right, right now. Okay. Who do you think really can win the Super Bowl?
Well, I think it's about 6 or 7.
I don't think it's many.
I think it's about 6 or 7. But I think that there's probably 13 or 14 who believe they can, and I think all 8 in the AFC probably believe that they can. And in the NFC, it's probably a little bit less. But just do the if they think they can. I'll give you a team, and you tell me if you. So all of the 8, I think the 8 that are in it in the AFC that would currently be in the postseason, and honestly, Baltimore. I mean, Baltimore is 4-5 for sure. They think they can win the Super Bowl. New England's won 7 in a row.
You think the Steelers
in their facility?
The Steelers do not think they can win the Super Bowl.
I bet if in their facility they think they can.
Well, then they should be
100%. They believe that.
In their
what
facility,
do you,
they do.
They are not good.
Well, fine, but
they can't win the Super Bowl.
And I know there's a difference, though. We'll get to that. We have 2
I
different
really don't
sets of
think they
criteria.
believe that. I really don't think they believe that. Like in their,
I don't know.
if they're being honest, I don't think there's any chance that they could win the Super
There's
Bowl.
just is the point though is there isn't some behemoth in the AFC. The two teams that you would describe as the behemoths in the AFC currently are not in.
Yes.
Baltimore and Kansas City. They are the two scariest teams. Like if you're Pittsburgh, you don't think you can go beat Denver if it came to that?
I don't think you can beat
can,
enough teams in a row to get to the
That's
Super Bowl.
what you think. I'm saying what they think.
No,
I agree with you. I'm saying where they think
if they can get into the
if
dance,
they can get in,
they can,
why can't you tell me they can't beat Buffalo? Buffalo just lost by 17 to Miami.
They've lost 3 of 4. I really don't. I don't know. Maybe they are delusional. I don't know.
In the NFC, I think NFC it's less. I think it's Philly, Detroit, Green Bay probably still believes it. I think Tampa believes it, and then the 3 in the NFC West. So it's like 6 in the NFC, and I think it's 8 or 9 in the AFC. And if you want to quibble with Pittsburgh, go ahead. I don't think that many teams can win it, but I think they believe it.
All right, who do you think can win it right now?
Rams.
Yep.
Lions.
Yep.
Eagles.
Yep.
They just won it.
I know, but they do not look.
Who's great? Okay, let me turn this
Seattle.
on you. Who's great?
I think Seattle is really
You would
good.
put the vast Zagura estate on Seattle winning the Super Bowl?
I think they're capable of it.
They're your
I'm not saying
favorite.
they're number one. I think I like the Rams.
Same.
I think the
but
NFC
the difference isn't that big.
I think the NFC is going to be represented by Seattle, the Rams, Detroit, or Philly, and I feel pretty good about that. But I think it's one of the first
So
3.
that's 4, though, in the NFC.
Yeah, Philly makes me a little nervous. I just don't
That's
think they can
4
score.
that you think in just the NFC. So now do the AFC.
I'm just saying they will be.
You're going to say
that's
Buffalo.
the representative.
You're going to say Baltimore. You're going to say Indy. You're going to say the Chargers. You're going to say the Chiefs. That's 9 that you think.
I wrote down. Yeah, I think.
Did I get the right 9? I bet I did.
Kansas City. I had Kansas City Chargers,
Yeah.
but I don't really. I think their line's going to be ultimately too big of a problem. New England, I like. Indy, yeah, but also no. Buffalo,
Baltimore.
yeah, Buffalo,
Kansas City.
Baltimore, yeah,
That's 7
yeah.
that you think.
That I think. Yeah,
let
yeah,
alone
yeah,
what
yeah.
they think in their buildings.
Like I don't
That's
think
7 AFC teams that you just said could win the Super Bowl.
No, it's AFC. No,
AFC.
that's 7 total. I just have Kansas
Bills,
City, Chargers,
Patriots, Ravens, Colts, Chargers, Chiefs. 6. 6 AFC teams that you think could win it.
Yeah, I don't think Denver can, but they probably think they can.
And you just said 4 in the NFC.
I
So that's a
really,
total
I
of
didn't
10.
really. I have Philly on another, and they won it, so I get that why you would say that. But I think right now, Seattle, the Rams, and Detroit are the best teams in the NFC.
But that goes
But
back
how
to
they
what
are
you
right
said.
now.
In their building, Denver thinks they can.
Of course they do.
They're like, if we can get out of the AFC
Yes,
West,
of course they do.
We can make. An
I don't
argument
think
it's
there's
the
a- I
toughest
think it-
division in football. If we get out of it, we can beat anybody.
Any-
I promise
Anybody
you the
who-
Tampa Bay Buccaneers say if we get healthy, we can win it. If we can get healthy, we can win it. The point is there isn't Tom Brady that you got to deal with. There's not the Mahomes Chiefs that you got to deal with. These are flawed teams. The top of this league has flaws. Buffalo is a team that most people would say can win the Super Bowl. They lost by 17 at Miami. They were not competitive.
Do you think the Rams have a flaw? Like I think it's possible that they're the best team in the league.
Well, I mean, I've been on them for a long time, and I felt that about
As
them.
long
They're
as
in an
Stafford
incredible
can stay upright.
Right, they're an incredible stretch of play right now. The last 4 they've played are incredible. How they've dominated the Ravens, the Jaguars, the Saints, and the Niners. Their only 2 losses are to San Francisco at home, and then they lost at Philly in Week 3. That's it.
That's it.
So I like them a lot. Seahawks look great.
Seahawks are quite good.
I like the Rams better than the Seahawks because I just don't know if you
That's
can
Sam
go
Darnold.
from year 1 with Darnold to the Super Bowl.
I mean,
That
they're
would be
smoking people
a hell
too.
of a jump.
They lost Week 1 to the Niners, and they lost in a shootout in kind of a fluky way to Tampa.
I stand by it. I
Tampa.
think there's 14 teams in this league who think they can win it in their building.
Yeah, I can't get into their
And this-
minds. I'll say that there's
You're not.
10.
I'm not saying you. I'm saying
Yeah.
them.
No, right. Yeah.
And even in yours, though, if we did this exercise a year ago, I don't think you would have said, "What'd you have? 10?"
I think it's really
wouldn't
that
have said 10.
the AFC is so wide open. Like if the Chiefs had beat Buffalo, I would have put the list on the AFC to maybe just the Chiefs again.
They're big.
I wrote
fraud,
them
though,
first.
Too. I mean, Mahomes was terrible.
He was
in that
terrible
game.
in that game.
Terrible.
And then they go get
they're-
and then
they have
Buffalo
no
gets
real
boat
consistency
raced
in the
by
run game.
Miami
Yeah, I mean the AFC team that's looked the best the last month has been New England
and Indy.
But like, are you going to make that leap? The team that scares me the most is Baltimore, and they're currently 4-5.
Yeah.
So they've got to come out of it.
Yeah.
I just in all the years we've been doing this, what is it, season 8, 9, or whatever we've done this? I don't recall 2 months to go 10 teams who you could envision winning it.
And
it's more just because
most
I don't
of the years
think that
we've
there's
been
a
doing
dominant
it,
team in the AFC.
There isn't in the NFC either. The Rams have been really good. The Seahawks have been really good. But if San Francisco's healthy,
I know.
And by the way, Philly has done it. So they could end up the 1 seed because of how bad their division is. Mm-hmm. So can you see the Rams or the Seahawks going to Philly? Rams are more likely. They played them well last year.
The Rams last year.
It did.
They lost
and
in
they
the
played them
playoffs.
competitively there,
and
but everybody else
game.
got bombed by them.
Yeah.
So, like, Detroit looks great 1 week.
Detroit needs to be at home.
They have to be at home, but I don't see a scenario because I think they're going to take too many lumps in the division.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, God, Detroit lost to the Vikings with McCarthy completing half his passes 2 weeks ago.
Whoever the 4 seed is going to get the Rams or the Seahawks most likely in the first round. And I would venture that and if that's Tampa, I think they will be an underdog.
See, I look at the Seahawks. I love this. I like what they've done, and it's been fun watching the Colts. But is Sam Darnold going to revert back to Sam Darnold to come playoff time like he did last year?
No, that's the question. That's it. Of course.
That's it with Danny Dimes.
Going to revert back.
Of course.
Yeah. And that's why
Justin Herbert's never won a playoff game.
Yeah.
For as great as he's been, he hasn't won a playoff game.
No.
So he's going to have to elevate.
That's why it's Stafford. I mean, it's ironic that Stafford and Goff they're in very good positions. And then Philly has done it. This team does not seem to be like the Philly teams although they were down and out last year.
You guys were over there. Remember that?
It was right after their bye.
Philly this year reminds me of Kansas City last year. Remember, every week we were like, how are the Chiefs winning this game?
It's a great point.
How are they winning this week?
And you woke up and they were 14-3 in the 1 seed. And you're like,
you know what? This Sunday night will be a good game. That's Eagles-Lions.
Maybe. Last night was supposed to be good.
Eagles-Lions.
Eagles-Lions in Philly. Mm-hmm. That's Sunday Night Football.
Who are Philly's losses? They lost back-to-back to the Broncos and the G-Men.
In the Broncos game they had, the G-Men is kind of inexplicable. Beat the Cowboys, beat the Chiefs, beat the Rams, beat the Bucks. They're, again, very solid.
Are the Rams the only team that doesn't have a stupid loss?
Yes. Well, Seahawks don't either.
They lost by 3 to the Bucks and by 4
in a shootout.
Yeah, 4 to the Niners opening weekend. There's nothing really there to be too concerned about.
No.
Detroit lost 2 weeks ago that was a weird loss to Minnesota.
Yes.
Very weird. Yeah. I don't know. I'm watching and I think certainly both of those teams, like how the heck has the Packers lost 3 in a row? They got to 5-1-1 and you go, okay, go win it.
LaFleur's explaining his job today.
I know, and I saw that.
Well, come on now.
So here's the thing with the Bucks, and I'm with you that they may in their building believe, but if you look at the teams that we talked about being legit teams that they've played this year, they lost to the Eagles. They did beat the Seahawks in Seattle.
Big win.
They lost to the Lions 24-9, bigly. They just lost to the Patriots at home. This next game, Week 11, they're at Buffalo. Week 12, they're at the Rams. If they go 0-2 in both of those games, it would be – I feel like then it's a stretch to say that, yes, we're going to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's fair.
I mean, they could end up being – if they lose those two, they're 6-5, by the way. Their wins, 23-20 over the Falcons, 20-19 over the Texans, 29-27 over the Jets, good win over Seattle, beat the Niners pretty good, 30-19, although that one was closer than it looked, and then they beat the Saints 23-3. Now,
do they get Bucky Irving back? Do they start to get healthy?
After the Bills and the Rams, though, even if they're 6-5 at that point, they have a pretty good chance to finish 12-5.
Yeah.
Home Cardinals, home Saints, home Falcons, at Panthers, at Dolphins, home Panthers.
Yeah.
But again, they could be, that's just because of by virtue of the schedule played, it's a pretty, they might be 12-5 and be like 2-5 against teams with winning records.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's crazy. 2 months to go, and it's pretty wide open.
No,
lots of teams in the mix. Those are
so funny you said that. I was like literally going to ask you, why don't we just rank who we thought could maybe win the Super Bowl right now?
Yeah, my list would be like I would have. You had 9. I usually in these things I'm less than you. I would go Baltimore, Kansas City, Philly, Detroit, Rams, Niners.
Niners.
If they got healthy, I don't know if they can.
They can't. They're just
They
not.
might not
Their
be able to ever
defense
get
is
there.
their defense is not. You're without.
I've just
Bosa and
seen
Warner.
them do it.
I know.
So it's in my head that if they can get somewhat healthy offensively, they can. But really, Mac Jones has played great. But it's still that's a lot. There's a lot of teams that got a shot at this thing. So
it speaks to, as you said, that there isn't a
no
dominant power.
Most of our life, there has been the Death Star that is the New England Patriots or the Death Star that has become the Kansas City Chiefs that is looming over everything. We don't have that. That's not here this year.
Yeah.
It just isn't. It's wild. And last night was probably a good example of it. Those are your hot topics today, presented by University Hospitals, official healthcare partner of your Cleveland Browns. Coming up next, we do a little risk versus reward with our good buddy Dave Zastadil. That's coming up next. You'll listen to Cleveland Browns Daily. We're presented by Ballybet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. Please bet responsibly on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Score big with Howard Hanna, official real estate partner of your Cleveland Browns. As Northeast Ohio's #1 real estate provider, they're dedicating to helping you make the best move. Visit howardhanna.com/GoBrowns today to explore your winning options today. Time for Risk versus Reward, presented by the Oswald Companies. And when we do this, it is a privilege to be joined by former Browns punter, the current managing director at Oswald Companies. He's the great Dave Zastadil. He joins us on the Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea Hotline. Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea, official sponsor of your Cleveland Browns. Keep it twisted, Cleveland. Buddy, we had a punt and a kick return touchdown go against us in this one. As someone who made a living in the special teams world for a great many years, how does something like that happen on back-to-back plays?
Yeah, that's
easy one. Easy one out of the gate, Dave.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
You know, the thing about a punt return and a kickoff return is there's always a lot that goes into that when you watch the film. I can tell you, I've been many, many years in special teams meetings, obviously, and, you know, it's not for a lack of, seeing the film, understanding your lane assignments, understand what you have to do, but there's a lot of things that go into it. Everything from, directional hash punting to getting good hang time to making sure you have your lane assignments, making sure, you're not getting blocked and kind of stacking a guy in front of you to open up that lane. And those are all things that I'm sure in the film room they were going over and trying to correct. But the problem with special teams, especially when you're having a down year, is special teams you look to that for a spark. You look to gain an advantage in special teams when you're not having the year you had. And unfortunately, the New York Jets found that spark, and unfortunately, we didn't.
Dave, when you look at it, Corey hadn't had a punt blocked since 2019. Obviously, we've given up a punt return week 1 against Dallas last year. We had one here. His yards per punt this year is down from basically over 49 to 46. His net yards is down from 42 to 35.9. Is there anything that you're seeing just kind of in the punting game, regardless of like an individual play, but just in general, why it feels like our efficiency is down a little bit?
Yeah, it's hard to tell, Nathan, when you're watching it from the TV. But when I was watching my own punts in film room, and you have good days, you have bad days, right? You always looked at the first thing is you want to make sure you always had at least a 4.5 second hang time, and that's back in the day. With the guy's legs today, it's probably even 4.6, 4.7. So you always want to make sure you gave your coverage teams time to get down on the field, so you weren't quote unquote out kicking your coverage. I'm sure Corey is looking at all those things. I believe Corey's a directional punter. He's been doing it for a long time, has always been in the top, 10, 12 of punters in the league. But it's just like anything. You go back, and there's a lot of situations. Sometimes net punting, you could have a 35, 37-yard net punting, but you also could be in short yardage field situations. You could be at the 50, minus 45, plus 45. That, numbers don't always tell the true story. But really, it's hard to tell hang times on TV, but it just didn't seem like maybe that punt, he got all of it and got underneath it as he probably would have. I'd have to go back and watch it again.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it looked like we had some open lanes, and obviously those are things the National Football League you just can't do.
Dave, this was one where, look, you gave up 14 points on special teams. It's hard to win in any league, any level when you give up 14 points on special teams. But you looked at what the Jets had done the previous week with the trades at the deadline and kind of the team that they brought out there on Sunday. And it was one where we looked at it and said, okay, that should be a win. You should go to New York and handle your business. And it didn't happen for myriad reasons. And so now you come back home and you've got Baltimore. As a guy who's been in those rooms, how do you stop a kind of a slide that we're kind of in the middle of right now? How do you get that fixed in midstream?
Well, when I kind of took a look at the stats, I'll answer that in two parts. We talk about a lot on risk versus reward, not beating yourselves, right? And we had 10 penalties for 78 yards. We had a key penalty and an opportunity in the game where you technically could get the ball back and have a chance to win. So, first of all, we have to clean up these mistakes. We have to get better in that area, especially on the road. Loud, hostile environment, typically in New York. You just gotta be disciplined, especially when you look at the penalties. Also, we were favored to win that game. You look at the stats. You take the two special teams returns out of that. Offensively, I think New York Jets had 54 yards passing. Right? We had an interception. We won the turnover battle. But when you put yourselves in a hole with two touchdowns of special teams, when on average you're averaging 17, 18 points, that puts you in a very, very tough position to win the football game. But I do think it all comes back to, we got to be disciplined on penalties. You got to make sure that we're not putting ourselves behind the eight ball and killing yourselves really with penalties. I do think offensively there were some good things. I mean, we talk about risk versus reward, right? It was a risk to give up plays and hand it to Tommy Rees, and he came out, and I thought he focused on the running game. I mean, we had a very balanced attack. I think we had, 32 passes, 32 runs. We really showed that we wanted to be dedicated to the run, which I believe is a very good thing for this team. But, it all comes down to special teams. And like I said earlier, that is the spark. Special teams is a spark. We don't want special teams to lose you the game. Special teams is supposed to pin people deep. You're supposed to get a spark by a big return. That's how you influence the game. And when you don't win that battle by any means, especially 14 points, it makes it very, very difficult to win in the National Football League. I mean, the Miami Dolphins beat the Buffalo Bills. Anyone can win in any given Sunday, and you can't take your opponent lightly.
So you mentioned you saw the commitment to run game. Did you see anything different in the pass game, or just anything you said, oh, this from a scheme standpoint or a sequencing standpoint, anything that said, oh, this does look different to me than what we had seen previously?
Yeah, maybe a little bit on some shots down the field. There was still a lot of check down passes, but sometimes that's what the defense gives you if those guys study film too. Special teams coaches always told us in the meeting room, hey, you got to give credit. Those guys get paid too. So, they may have had a really good game plan, understanding what we're trying to do offensively. But, I still think overall, the offensive line said it all year, right? We're running. We like to run the ball. And I thought Tommy Rees really tried to give Judkins an opportunity to do that. Could we have been more successful? Always. You always are going to try to go in the film room and see what you can do better. But the passing game, it's still, I think it's still a work in progress. Dylan Gabriel's still a rookie. I know he gets a lot of critique out there, but he's a third-round draft pick that got thrown in there early. There's going to be times in games that it's going to take a learning curve as a rookie. It's not easy to go in the National Football League, especially in the AFC North and in the cold weather games and the wind, to do that. So part of me thinks it's part of the learning process of a rookie.
Yeah, that's something we talked about a couple of weeks ago, and I'm glad to hear you say it as well too, because he has taken a ton of slings and arrows that are, I think, unjust. I mean, he's not. This isn't Baker Mayfield drafted number 1 overall. Like it's not that at all. It's a third-round pick, and he's had some moments. He's up for Rookie of the Week this week, and so he's had a few moments. And we've got a lot of problems offensively, and it speaks to. And I think this. And look, Bubba was your gunner, was he not, Dave? I thought you mentioned that a couple of weeks ago, wasn't he?
I played.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh yeah, I played with Bubba.
Yeah.
One
So
of the top, most talented special teams players I've played with. Yeah.
And this is killing him. Yeah. Like he's not teaching this. What happened on Sunday? He's not out here teaching this. Like, this is not it. So we had a very narrow margin for error the way this season was set up. And so when you have, and you mentioned the penalties, and now we're talking special teams, when you have those things, we just don't have the margin for mistakes like that. And to your point earlier on the Bills and the Dolphins in this league, nobody really does, but we absolutely don't.
Yeah, it's a good point. And the thing about special teams, which cracks me up all the time, is, I heard somebody on the radio, and I won't mention names, talk about Bubba Ventrone. And yes, listen, if there's a punt return, a kickoff return, a touchdown, the buck always stops with the coach. That's never going to change. That's always going to happen. But to hear the comment that in the Cincinnati game, a rookie kicker missed a field goal and an extra point to win the game, and that's on Bubba Ventrone. Bubba Ventrone's not out there kicking field goals. And so I never understood why, if a field goal kicker missed a field goal, how that is the special teams guy's a coach's fault. But Bubba knows the game. He was an excellent player. He was a leader on the field. He knows special teams. So, Listen, Bubba will always be a type of guy, just knowing his character, that he'll say, hey, I'm the special teams coach. I got to get it fixed. I'll own it. However, there's a lot of things that you have to look at in the film room. It might just be guys that aren't doing their right assignments, and then you got to get a different guy in there. Do we have the special teams talent? Do guys take ownership and take pride in special teams? All the best special teams units I've ever played for took pride in it. We had leadership on there because we understood how important that was to the game. I'm not saying we don't have that.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know. I'm not on the team. I'm not in those meetings. But those are all things that I guarantee Bubba's looking at is, hey, do I have the right guys in the right positions? That's something that I guarantee, like Coach Stefanski said, they're going to go back and try to get it fixed. But Bubba, he's a high-character guy. He will own this, and he will do nothing but try to get better and work to make sure this never happens again.
Yeah, because unfortunately, you can't let that happen again if this team wants to be who they want to be. When we talked a little bit about the offense, and yes, there were things that were better, but it's still ultimately at the end of the day, you get 7 points off of a short field off of a turnover. And other than that, in a game in which the Jets only had a first down on one possession in the entirety of the first three quarters, and then the Browns basically possessed the ball for 3/4 of the first 3 quarters. You didn't do enough offensively. That game should have been over before it went to the fourth quarter. How can this offense break through? I thought it was good we got Jerry Jeudy involved, but how can this offense break through, Dave? Because I think that is the one thing that is clearly, more than anything else, holding this team back week after week.
Yeah, I think you made a great point. It was great to see Jerry Jeudy get involved. I mean, it's receptions, 8 yards, and a touchdown. I mean, he's your best receiver, and you have to get him involved. So that was obviously a bright spot. But if you guys, we talk about this all the time, and stats are stats. The offense is what it is. But people always look back and talk about Joe Flacco and say, look, he's throwing for 500 yards, and he's 400 yards or 300, whatever he's throwing for. He wasn't doing that here. So then we put in a 3rd-round draft pick, probably maybe at least a year in, probably on what the plan was for the developmental process of a rookie quarterback, especially a 3rd-rounder, into the mix really early, right? I mean, there's going to be growing pains with that, but Joe Flacco wasn't necessarily lighting up the field when he was here. So how I look at that is there's something within this offense that they're probably trying to constantly look to find ways to get big plays, chunk plays. And it seems up to this point, there's some flashes here and there, but I think the offense in general, I don't think and I hate to just repeat what Coach keeps saying, but I don't think it's one player. I think it's accumulation of, you gave up 6 sacks in this game for 47 yards, 6 sacks in a game.
Yeah.
So when you look at that, you could have a first-rounder in there. If you're giving up 6 sacks and your offensive line has, injuries on the offensive line, you're trading for a left tackle who's only been there for a couple of weeks, there's not a lot of chemistry and consistency in that offense right now. So I think it's just accumulation of things that they just have to continue from literally this game going forward, is just finding some kind of consistency and some chemistry in that offense, and hopefully things will start turning around.
Dave, we'll get you out of here on this one. Big picture NFL, Z and I were just having a conversation about how many teams believe they are Super Bowl contenders with 7 or 8 games left, and it could be upwards of 9, 10 teams, might even be upwards of a dozen. Do you recall, we've had so many, it feels like we've been in a 2-decade kind of set here where we've always had Brady and the Patriots looming over, we've had Mahomes and the Chiefs looming over. It feels like this is as wide open as the NFL has been with 2 months to go. What is kind of your view of what appears to be a wide open kind of sprint to the stretch here in the league?
Yeah, it's a good point. I do really like what Drake May and the New England Patriots are doing. We talked about this, I think, on a previous show. Here you have a first-round quarterback that went through bumps and bruises his first year, no doubt, got comfortable, understood the league slowed down for him, and now you see what that guy's doing in year 2. And what I love about that, he's on a rookie contract, so you have payroll. You're going to have time to build up around him, and you can start building consistency over the next few years with a team like that. I think Detroit Lions, if they keep doing what they're doing, they're going to be a very tough team to beat. Jahmyr Gibbs is as good as a running back in the league. Mm-hmm. And then a team that I think overall is really surprising the league is Indianapolis Colts. No one thought Daniel Jones would go to Indianapolis and do this, and it just sometimes shows you with kind of a new team, a new offensive coordinator, new thought process. If you have a guy that has ability and you play to his strengths, and you have a guy like Jonathan Taylor, you got a strong defense. It is a wide open league, and the team that I'm a little nervous about is the Baltimore Ravens. You know, they're starting to play good football, and they're coming into town next week. That's a team that's starting to get momentum. But to answer your question, I think in the end, what I always thought was the most important part about the NFL is in December, which teams are rolling, which teams are starting to gain momentum, getting that confidence, playing their best football in December, that put themselves in a position to have a shot at the playoffs. Those are the teams that you really have to worry about. But I know we got to get going, guys. But I want to make one comment.
Sure.
I think it's important. I thought the New York Jets did an amazing job in their tribute to Nick Mangold.
Yep.
Wearing the T-shirts out of the field, doing the tribute. We talk football. It's in our blood. We talk about it all the time. But it just brings the human element to football. Is just a game. And I thought what Nick Mangold meant to Ohio State, and to the NFL, I thought they did a great tribute. And, I think sometimes that brings us down to earth a little bit when things like that happen. So I just want to commend the organization. I thought it was a great job.
Yeah,
they really did. It
was
it was very cool in the building. They had like a nice video with, because he loved Dave Matthews Band, and so they had some Dave Matthews songs playing over his video, and then his wife and their children were the captains for the coin toss. They were on the field for the coin toss. They had a big banner. There's stuff all around the stadium, built into the stadium of him, and then they had a huge banner that unfurled over one of the end zones, in the crowd. They covered a whole section in the crowd, or a couple sections even of Nick, and it was very well done. It was very classy, and it was very well done.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up, buddy. Appreciate you.
Yeah, trying to end on a positive note.
There we go, buddy. We
good
appreciate
luck to the Browns this week, guys. I always appreciate you having me on.
There he goes. Dave Zastadil joining us. That's your Risk versus Reward Play the Game, brought to you by Oswald, official risk advisor of your Cleveland Browns. Coming up next, we will go around the league. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily. We're presented by Bally Bet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. Please bet responsibly on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Junior Browns backers, the Cleveland Browns official kid club presented by University Hospitals, Rainbows, Babies, and Children in association with Cardinal Credit Union. Back for Season 2, ages 4 to 12. Give your kid a season full of Browns memories, exclusive gear, experiences, events, plenty of surprises all season long. Visit juniorbrownsbackers.com to join today. Time to head around the league. We've got a new uniform for the Patriots. What are they wearing? What do they got
Have
on?
you seen the nor'easter?
Yeah, it's like the gray one.
You definitely want to take a peek.
Let me see what they're doing.
If you can. They're playing
it's like
Thursday Night
gray.
Football against the Jets.
The whole thing.
Oh,
It's kind of like
this
a
is that
gray
one.
blue.
Yeah. I've seen this.
These
This is
are
all
nice.
right.
So there were people.
Oh, that's nice.
There
I
were
like that. I
there
like
were
how it
actually
looks.
quite a few of them in the crowd,
Okay.
and a lot of that gear with the NE logo, which actually is a pretty. It's not. I actually kind of like that.
This is a
alternate
really
logo.
clean look right here, dude.
Yeah,
With
Do you
that
s-
blue and the
yeah,
white
and
lids.
the white lids. It's very good. And then they have like an NE logo on it.
I love
Is
that
it on the sleeve? Yeah, the logo look. I think that NE is pretty solid. Yeah, it's honestly,
That's really nice.
and I know we talked about it and why I understand why they wear the things that remind them of Tom Brady and the
Yeah.
greatness of the Patriots, and it makes sense. But like, I could see a world where they have like this, the Brady,
they're up on
and
the screen
then
if you're watching
the Pat the Patriots. Pat Patriot is so good.
Yeah, it is. It's just it's them, that one, the Bucks one. They're
They
just
did play in a Super Bowl in those though, didn't they?
well, Bears.
Yeah.
46-10.
Steve Grogan, Andre Tippett, maybe
Yeah. Tony Eason,
Tony Eason.
Tony
sure.
Eason.
Craig James.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that was that group. Yeah, it's just a shame because the greatness is with the other look, and so that's the thing that's tough. Denver's at that same spot. I mean, as perfect as theirs are, they never won it in the orange with the bright blue. They won it in the ones
I
they have
know,
now.
but
I almost would.
it still evokes John Elway.
It does. I mean, I still think of that one more than I do their modern one that they wore.
Yeah, like to me, that still evokes their greatest player.
I would agree.
I will not address him.
And Brady, by the way, Brady had a bunch of games in Pat the Patriot.
Yeah, I don't know how many, but they definitely
He
wore
had like
it.
a
They threw it back.
500-yarder against Tennessee in the snow in the Pat the Patriots.
In that one,
I remember
yeah.
that game.
I actually think the ones that they have now are better than the ones that they wore under Brady when they wear the blue over silver. I don't like the monochrome all navy
Agreed.
look or whatever,
Yes,
but I think when they
agreed.
wear the blue over silver, it's really clean.
Yep.
They had one earlier this year where they wore, I think, blue over white.
Yep.
Which I thought looked pretty good because they have the UCLA stripes on them. Like they look strong. I think they look pretty good. Their brand is pretty good. And you think about this idea to have Brady for all of that time, have a couple of years without figuring it out, and then they drafted Mac Jones. Circumstances weren't right for him, weren't right for them, bailed on him, got out of it quick, and then they pivot and they land Drake May.
Yep.
And this kid is good enough that he can overcome coaching changes as a rookie, and then they hire the right guy who changes the culture in the second he's a culture tornado. Vrabel is
Oh, yeah.
the
I mean,
accountability.
you see it,
my
yeah.
God, like he's just a culture tornado.
Walks in,
Yeah.
laughing and joking with the media. They love him.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's
that's outrageous. I mean, Tennessee. He could have been the coach of the Tennessee Titans for 25 years, and would have been a legend in Nashville.
just insane.
He is a legend in Nashville.
He is, yes.
Yeah.
And they ran him because he spoke glowingly about the Patriots when they put him in the Ring of
Let me tell
Honor.
you something. Jeff Jarrett,
Jeez.
not happy about it. Amongst
No.
a great many others.
You got to take that guitar to whoever made that decision.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's
it's
right.
brutal.
Give him the old El Kabong.
Got to do it. It's crazy. I like those. Those look good. And I saw the Rams are wearing them too. The Rams are wearing their midnight ones.
Oh, yeah.
It's just the
Okay.
NFC West and the AFC, so I think, are the
J-Mac
only ones that are
quick to the
doing
draw
these,
here.
right? Is that right?
Yeah, I think that's right.
Coming up on your
The
screen.
Cardinals wore those
I wanna
ones that
see
look like sand.
Oh, yeah, that's
That's
great.
really nice. And it's actually blue.
It's a blue. Yeah, it's a
the
deep,
darkest blue.
They call that a midnight navy.
Yeah, I think that pops.
By the way, that's fine. That
That can be in the mix.
100% in the
Yeah.
mix.
They have a lot of uniforms they do to
They
choose
do.
from. That's an easy operation to root for. Win all the time, tons of studs on offense and defense.
McVay's
no
awesome.
draft picks, don't need them. When we
Except,
have them, we'll
does
hit on them.
anybody in L.A. care?
I
More
don't know.
than they
That's-
do
had
about
that
the Chargers.
conversation.
More than they do about the
It
Chargers.
looks like the Chargers on Sunday night were going to great lengths to get the star power in there. They had a lot of celebrities that they're trying to get into those games, and I think Justin Herbert. L.A. is a star town, So Herbert dating that Madison Breer or whatever.
Look at Tarver.
What's her name?
Tarver.
Oh, there's a great Tarver. The great
Tarver
Tarver. The
watch.
great Tarver. He loved Carson Schwessinger from day one.
Yeah, he did. He did.
But I think that helps. Isn't he dating a pop star or something? Herbert? What's her name? Madison Breer. Did I have that right? Is that who it is?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay. Yeah. So I think that helps.
Yeah.
And he's a stud.
He's
so
aiming,
that
and
helps.
then
he goes to
Allen's
Lakers
married to
games.
Steinfeld, right? Haley Steinfeld. Is that right?
Who?
Isn't Josh Allen married to Haley Steinfeld?
Yes.
Yeah. But I was talking about L.A. star power.
No,
and
I know,
the fact
but
that they're
she's
trying
a
to
star.
pull him
I'm
in.
saying quarterbacks with stars.
Oh yeah,
It's good.
but
Getting
I
back to
think
a
that gives you a
glory
chance.
days.
So then he goes down on the court side for Lakers, and then it kind of all that's kind of what they're.
He's in
hoping for.
Herbert's in a lot of ads.
He is.
I mean, you watch a football game, he is in a great many ads.
Yeah.
Some lady comes tries to get him to sign their mortgage for her, and he's like, "You don't need me."
They are so wayward in Los Angeles, and like I know San Diego doesn't have corporate money, but there's a lot of wealth down there, and the idea that like
I think if the NFL
Couldn't
could
make
have
it
had
work.
it back, he would be the quarterback of the Miami Dolphins in that draft. Had him go there, Tua could have gone to L.A., West Coast, and he's got
you think that would have helped? I mean,
I don't know that it
Herbert
would
was
have
a
helped.
Eugene,
I don't know that it
Oregon
would have
kid.
helped.
He played at Oregon.
I don't know
like
that would have
he's-
necessarily helped the Chargers,
Oh.
but I think that is less important to them than like if the Dolphins were thriving and he's the next coming of Marino. Miami's got a lot of money. I think that would be a pretty good town to have him be the face of.
Yeah.
Like LA, you already have the Rams. You got the Lakers.
Well, that goes back to my
Dodgers,
original point. Like they
you
should have
don't
just
need it.
stayed in San Diego. You didn't need two teams in Los Angeles.
Correct.
No, I do think Tua as a Polynesian in LA though is
Maybe.
somewhat of a draw.
Maybe. All right, there you go. Add more fun to your fandom with the Bally Bet Sportsbook app. Download today, 50 back in bonus bets. You place your first wager of 10 or more. Bally Bet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. The Joe Thomas half hour of the program is coming up next. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily, presented by Bally Bet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. Please bet responsibly on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Elk, serious lawyers, serious injuries. Call 1-800-ELK-OHIO for a free case review. Elk & Elk's proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. Time for the Joe Thomas half hour of the program. Guten Tag, HOF. How was Berlin, buddy?
Guten Tag, sehr gut. I am doing okay after just a couple hours of sleep over the last 3 days. I'm doing all right. I'm hanging in there.
Was it just pure joy, HOF, in Berlin, being back in Germany? Not Munich, obviously, where you are a legend, but was it fun to be back, and what kind of frivolity was enjoyed?
It was fun. It was really cool. Like, the Germans really love the NFL, and it was pretty clear. Obviously, we played in London this year, and I got a chance to go to that game. And while I think people in London are still very excited about having NFL games, I think it's become pretty normal and regular. And so the scarcity of it isn't quite what it used to be. But with one game in Germany every year and a fan base that continues to grow by leaps and bounds every year, and this being the first regular season game in Berlin, I mean, people were just going bananas. And, the party was going on for 3-4 days, and all the big German celebrity NFL players were in town. And I got to hang out with them a little bit, and they showed me around Berlin, and there was not a lot of sleep that was had. So I did have a lot of fun and a lot of frivolity. Got a chance to go out and see how late that Berlin stays open and how late they're willing to serve beers in large quantities. And so it was a great experience all around. I can't complain too much.
HOF, I have not been to Berlin or Munich, but I do feel like I have a pretty decent handle on, and I understand that probably sounds absurd about Munich, just because I've seen it in pop culture more. Berlin, because of pop culture, what you're reminded of is, the World War II and all of that. Had you been to Berlin when you spent the year in Germany? And what can you tell me about the city? What can you tell us about their sporting style, just the livability of it, all of that?
Yeah, so it's a huge sports city. I would call it, maybe a little bit like a German version of a New York City, whereas Munich's got a very unique culture being in Bavaria. They've rebuilt the downtown, I should say, in the classic village style. So the famous saying over there is that it's the world's biggest village. I don't know, there's like 2 million people, but it feels small. You can get around really easily on the subway. There's not a lot of high-rises downtown. They actually have restrictions. All the buildings still kind of look like the old village from 300-400 years ago. So it's definitely a different feel, whereas Berlin feels much more cosmopolitan. There's big high-rises everywhere. There's traffic problems, of course, but they still have really good, efficient subways and trains. But it's definitely like the trendy place. You go around, you see a lot of blue hair and a lot of leather and whips and chains and those type of things. So it is definitely a really unique, cool, interesting culture. They love football, though. They love sports, and they were definitely fired up about the game. And they got a great game. I mean, going into overtime and seeing my boy Jonathan Taylor, my Badger buddy, giving me a Badger mental boost by having the game he had and finishing in overtime with a big run. It was an amazing experience.
Yeah, I mean, you talk Jonathan Taylor is just playing out of his mind. You got Danny Dimes bloodied up and having that crazy visual and nice comeback. You guys did get actually a highly entertaining game.
We did, and some of those international games, they sometimes give them the less than awesome matchups in the off season because they know, like, hey, you know what? People are going to go no matter what, so it doesn't matter. We'll give them, whoever versus whoever. I'm not going to insult any fan bases, including our own. But, they don't always give them the best matchups, and it's always tough to tell at the beginning of the season what it's going to be like. But that was a fun, interesting matchup. The Falcons have been really up and down a lot of the season, but they're still a fun, exciting team to watch. I mean, Michael Penix Jr., you can see he's got a lot of talent. He's got a lot of room to grow. Bijan Robinson. I mean, they've got some really fun players to watch, and they put on a great show because it was neck and neck. It seemed like the Colts just outplayed them the whole game, but they just weren't able to finish in the end zone. And I think one of the problems was I think we only converted in that game 1/3 or 4th down, and it was like in the end of the fourth quarter. So teams were having a hard time doing anything except for hitting explosive plays to score points and continue their drives. The fans were into it from the beginning. And you could just tell that it just felt like a big game that had a lot of historic value.
Yeah, an historic performance from Jonathan Taylor. Nice little weekend for Bucky Badger, by the way. Fick gets and I know he's a buddy of yours. He gets the vote of confidence from the AD. Then you get the win against Washington. A little field storming on Saturday in Madtown, and then Jonathan Taylor goes nuts, and you're in attendance on Sunday. That's kind of the Badger, heck of a Badger week, buddy.
It was. We flipped the script a little bit, although I'm not exactly putting a feather in my cap about storming the field, beating Washington. You know what I was happy about? I was just happy that the good, fine folks and the students at Madison had something to be excited about. And they were so excited that they wanted to get on the field and tell their team about it. And so you just hope in a couple seasons that have been filled with turmoil and stress and anxiety, and there's a lot of calls for Fickle to be fired, that maybe this is some type of rallying cry where now they feel like it's the world against them, and they give that message of, this was the moment that we flipped the scripts, we burned the boats, and we turned it around, and we kind of found ourselves a little bit. So it was definitely a good weekend to be a Badger for the first time in a while.
I think it's fair to storm the field against Washington when your leading passer is your punter, and you win.
So maybe that's what they were celebrating.
That's what I think.
The greatness of the kicking performance, not necessarily with his feet, but the fact that he was your leading passer and you win a game. That's historic enough. I feel like it's acceptable to storm the field in that situation.
They had Wisconsin had 4 different players attempt to pass in the win against Washington on Saturday. Sean West, who's their punter, was 1 of 1 for 24 yards, and he was their leading passer, and they won. Pretty great. Pretty great to win in that scenario.
Unfortunately, it transitions into a game that we lost, in which Justin Fields completed 2 passes in the entire game beyond the line of scrimmage for 7 yards and an interception, and the Browns lost. Hoff, I hate to get from the high highs of Wisconsin wonderment to, unfortunately, some low lows for the Cleveland Browns, but what did you make of this game? 2 return touchdowns allowed, a loss, another kind of inexplicable loss in a season of many of them, and the Browns are 2-7 after losing another game. Quite frankly, they should have won.
Well, I blame Kevin Stefanski because he should have given Corey Bojorquez more opportunities to throw the ball to be our leading passer. If he would have watched the Badgers on Saturday, he knows that that's the path to victory.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, this was one you had to have, Hoff. I mean, you go to New York.
Yep.
They waved the white flag on their season. They traded their 2 best defensive players. They really weren't even interested in attempting the forward pass. You get 2 special teams touchdowns that go against you, and here we are again. And it's I don't know. You got Baltimore coming in here on Sunday, and you hear Kevin, we're going to work on. We got to get better, coach better, play better, all these things, but you keep waiting to see it, and it just hasn't happened. This was a stupefying one though, Hoff. I think I'm sure you were either in transit. How much of it were you even able to watch?
I just was able to watch just a brief amount. By the time we got out of the stadium and got back, the NFL day seemed like I didn't even know if it had just started or just finished. So I had to watch it on replay this morning. But yeah, I mean, it was one of those ones. Judkins has an opportunity to get you enough yards and points that you got to beat one of the worst teams in the league, especially when they've already given up on the season, like you mentioned. They're already offloading their best players on the ship and sailing towards next season and the season beyond. You got to be able to win that game. And so I think that's why it was not just frustrating, it was maddening, to see the performance offensively, couldn't really do anything. And it's one of those things, again, like we've talked about earlier in the season, is beating yourself. When you're a team that doesn't have a lot of weapons on offense to be able to score a lot of points, you can't beat yourself. If you're going to win with defense, you can't beat yourself. And that means you can't have penalties, you can't have a bunch of missed assignments, and you can't give up big plays on special teams. You got to at least be a net zero on special teams. And so I think the frustration is if you go into the season knowing the type of team that you have to be, because you see, okay, we got a great defense, but that's kind of where it stops. we want to lean on the run game. I feel like our offensive line's pretty decent, but we're probably not going to light up the scoreboard. And then you aren't able to take care of the things that you can control, which has got to be good on special teams, no big mistakes, not a lot of penalties, and you can't make a lot of missed assignments. Like, those are the things you have to focus on and be good at. Otherwise, these embarrassing losses like this happen when you lose to a team like the Jets, who've already given up on the season.
HOF, we talked about the change in play callers. What did you see from Tommy Rees? Did anything jump out to you that was maybe different or that you saw that was positive?
I was hoping that he would maybe unlock Dylan Gabriel a little bit and allow him maybe more comfort to take some more risks and chances. Just hearing a different voice, I think, in meeting rooms sometimes can give you a different sense of the risks you should be willing to take, and maybe allows you to feel a little bit more free, maybe seeing a little bit more of the play action or the RPO stuff, and lean into maybe what he feels like Dylan is more comfortable with, because you just have a different set of eyes on the game plan. And I think everybody's kind of got a little different fingerprint, even though you're running the same offense, calling plays. It's more of an art than it is a science. But I didn't see that. I mean, you still didn't really see Dylan Gabriel taking chances to push the ball down the field. You saw several times where it looked like Dylan was almost kind of confused with what he was seeing and where he wanted to go with the football. And so I don't know if some of that was because maybe he was starting to get some different coaching points on the passing concepts, where the ball, like a couple of times, it looked like he was looking like he wanted to throw one way, and all of a sudden he just threw it the other way and it went right in the dirt. And yeah. I'm thinking to myself, like, that wasn't just a missed throw. That was like him changing his mind at the last second. Like everybody's done that when they're throwing the ball in the backyard, like with some buddies, and like all of a sudden they're trying to throw it in a different spot. And it just looks like a terrible pass with horrible accuracy. But to me, that's like indecision in his mind. And so it seemed like the change in coordinator actually, it hurt Dylan in this situation. And, maybe some of that's to be expected. You're a rookie. You got a new voice. You got a new person calling plays, new person that's your right-hand man as you're going through practice. But to take 6 sacks, that means you didn't know where to go with the football a lot of times, whether it be the progression that you need to go through and then throw it away, or just making sure that, like, hey, it's either going to be this guy or check down, or, those are kind of the two things that you need to be able to know clearly when you walk to the line of scrimmage, when you see the defense, so you can make a quick decision and you don't take a big negative play. And then, like I mentioned before, like those times where he wanted to throw it, but it was like he didn't really know exactly what he wanted to do with the football. And so, unfortunately, to the viewer who was not in meetings and who didn't do anything but watch the game this week, which is me, it looked like Dylan took a step back in this game.
When a guy has, and we saw Miles, last time we played in New England, Miles had 5 sacks. Will McDonald came into this game with 3 sacks. He had 4 in this game. When you see one player in a game get 5 in the case of Miles, 4 in the case of Will McDonald, what does that tell you? And then from a protection standpoint, like, is it after 2 that maybe you have to change things? How do we kind of get to a situation like that where one guy was able to get around, in this case, our left tackle, Cam Robinson, 4 times?
Well, I think you need to be realistic. If your guy's getting beat more than 2 or 3 times, especially early on in the game, you need to say, okay, I need to get with my offensive line coach and we need to talk about it. And he needs to give me a straight answer, right? Like, this is the battlefield, and I don't need you to sugarcoat it, because I need to know exactly right now, is he going to be able to block this guy the rest of the game, or do I need to go down my call sheet and start crossing off plays that I can't trust him to block the guy that's got his number right now? And so I don't know if there was clear communication in that situation, or if maybe there was a trust in expectations that things were going to change that shouldn't have been there. But to let a player like Will McDonald, who's not, in my opinion, Myles Garrett, be able to get 4 sacks in a game, I don't think that's acceptable, because you have to start changing either what the quarterback's doing or what the protection is in those situations to get better protection to be able to handle a guy like that, because you can't let him get 4 sacks. I mean, it's just one of those things where you have to realize before it's too late that your guy can't block their guy, and you either have to start chipping and helping a little bit. And, your passing game does suffer a little bit because you've got one less guy getting out in the route quickly. But you have to make those adjustments because sacks in this game, especially when we talk about how we need to win, you can't make mistakes, penalties, bad plays on special teams. You can't take big plays because they don't make enough explosive plays to be able to overcome either a penalty on a drive or a sack on a drive because they just can't go that far down the field. Mm-hmm. And it's just the limitations right now with this version of the offense. And so sacks are just unacceptable. You can't let them happen because you'd rather have, 2nd and 10 or 3rd and 10 or whatever the situation you're in than to sit there and go, okay, now we got to go 12 or 15 yards. Like we just don't have any big play explosive ability in the passing game whatsoever to be able to overcome something like that in a drive.
No, it's been tough, and then the other part, it's been tough to run of late. Mm-hmm. I think in large part because of that, teams are saying we're going to stop Quinshon Judkins. What are you seeing from our line in terms of the push that they're generating? Because he's one of the league leaders in percentage of his yards that come after contact, which is not a stat that necessarily you want to be leading the league in.
Right. So we always thought that as an offensive line, we have to at least be able to get our running back with his feet through the line of scrimmage without him being touched. That's our job. And then you got to get those second level blocks so you can get to 4 yards. And then beyond that, it's kind of like, what can he do that's special? What can the receivers do to help out? But they're just not being able to get enough movement on the line of scrimmage. They're not creating those seams. And Quinshon is just not given enough of an opportunity to be able to get to the line of scrimmage clean, to be able to see his vision, to use his jump cuts, to be able to make those plays. And I think, you already had your bye week, but you really need to make some serious decisions about what are the running concepts that we're really good at that Quinshon can execute. Because, they gave him 22 carries, but to average almost 3.4, 3.5 yards a game, that's not good enough for a team that is relying on running the ball. So you either got to figure out we need to throw the ball deeper down the field because we understand that if we're not pushing the ball down the field, defenses are crowding the line of scrimmage. They're adding safeties to the box. They're creeping towards the line to be able to account for all the gaps and then some. And if you're not creating those seams, you're not getting that push at the line of scrimmage in those double teams, and he's not able to get to the line of scrimmage, he can't even be the special player that we think he is because there's too many bodies at the line of scrimmage that are not being blocked. Like, let's say the box is soft because you got Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen or one of these guys that pushes the ball down the field. Like, even if you don't do a great job blocking, a good running back is usually going to make one man miss before he gets to the line of scrimmage, as long as he has some space. But if he doesn't even have that space, because when he makes one man miss, boom, now there's that safety and he's filling hard into the other gap, it's basically impossible to run the football. And so you'd have to be perfect on the line, which they're not, to be able to get to 4 yards to give him a chance to go beat the unblocked player. And so it's just like a cascade of mistakes and errors, and the offense is putting themselves in a box that's too difficult to get out of because you can't throw the ball down the field. You can't threaten defenses. They're not afraid of you pushing the ball. They're not afraid of explosive plays. You're not effective with your play action, your RPOs. You're not tricking anybody, and you're not getting pushed at the line of scrimmage. And then when you do try to drop back and pass, you can't block one of their guys. So, frustrating. It's just maddening because the offense is not fun, and they're not doing any of the things that they need to do to be able to give themselves a chance to win, understanding the personnel that we have.
Other than that, though, everything's great.
Yeah, it's great.
It's all good other than that, right off.
Give the punter. Towards your Orcas. Give him more throws. Come on.
So let's look. You're 2-7. We got 8 games to go, including Baltimore coming in here on Sunday. How are you going to view success for this team in the last 8 games? What do you want to see this team do? What is basically the back half of the season? My God, we still have 8 games left of this, Hoff.
Yeah, it's a struggle to say, okay, what does success look like on offense that's possible and realistic? Like, what are our goals? We talked about this a couple weeks ago. When you're in a season like this, which unfortunately I've dealt with a lot of them, you have to build like little goals into what you're doing every day. And you focus on those things, and you're like, okay, let's just get better at this thing. And then we can consider like today a victory or this weekend a victory because we got better at these 3 things. So we're going to just focus really hard on those. And you know what? If it leads us to victory, amazing. But if it doesn't, at least we feel like we're building. And unfortunately, it feels like we're going backwards right now. And so to say, okay, what are the things that we can focus on to feel like we're building from a team standpoint? Okay, defense, they're still playing pretty good, right? Can they get better? Of course, you can always be better. But let's focus, first of all, special teams. Cannot give up any big plays. That's just one thing that can't happen anymore. And I played with Bubba. He's a great coach. He was a great player. He was a great special teamer, a good friend of mine. But when your unit is not executing the way it needs to, you have to hold them accountable or you're going to be held accountable. Unfortunately, that's the situation that it's in. And as a special teams coach, you don't get to keep your job because of a bunch of great punt return touchdowns or kickoff return touchdowns. You keep your job because your unit doesn't make any big mistakes. I mean, how many times throughout the league have we seen a field goal block goes for a touchdown or a punt block goes for a touchdown, the team loses the game, special teams coach gets fired, right? Because your number one job as a special teams coach is don't lose the game. And so you need to focus specifically on that, whatever that looks like from an accountability standpoint, finding guys, even if they're the starters. I mean, I've been in that situation when Mangini was here and he was like, you know what? Our backups aren't getting it done. I don't care how many plays you got on offense or defense. Special teams is a priority. We're going out there and we're putting dudes that are reliable, that we know are not going to screw it up. They may not be our best option, but I know that I can trust them and they're not going to screw it up and they're not going to put us in a giant hole against a team that we should beat by making huge mistakes. And then you say, okay, on offense, I mean, we want to be able to push the ball. We have to be able to push the ball. Yep. Like it's starting to hamstring our protection. It's hamstringing our run game, which our run blocking hasn't been great, obviously, but it compounds it when you can't push the ball down the field. So Tommy Rees needs to make sure that Dylan Gabriel understands interceptions are not okay, but we need to be able to take some risks and push the ball down the field. You need to start calling more of those plays where it's almost like a 2-man route, or you either give him a coaching point where it's like, look, Jerry Jeudy is the primary on this play. Throw it to him. I don't really care if he doesn't catch it or it gets intercepted. We have to start threatening these defenses down the field and in the middle especially, because otherwise teams see that and they're just going to stop wasting time really defending any of that stuff, and they're going to just make it even harder for the short dink and dunk throws. They're going to make it even harder to run the football. So I think what progress is going to look like is, all right, can we complete some deep throws? I don't even care if we have 150 yards, but 2 or 3 of them are big throws. Like, you need to be able to do things to keep your receivers engaged also. Like, they tend to be a little bit more ADHD than the rest of the guys on the field. They tend to be a little bit more of the divas, and you got to make them feel like at any moment they could catch a big play and become the hero of the game. Otherwise, you're losing their attention. You're going to lose their effort. You're going to lose their focus, and you can't afford that when you have a fewer amount of playmakers at receiver than other teams. And so I think that on offense, like, to me, if I see that when we watch the game next week, to me, that's a victory. And then from there you say, okay, let's make sure Quinshon Judkins gets 100 yards rushing. Like, we want his bites at the apple. We want to see who on this offensive line can block and can get Quinshon going. I'd like to see maybe a few different concepts that we haven't shown yet, especially with Tommy Rees in there. You know, I'm sure he's got a few things in his back pocket that they may have looked at in practice before, but giving defenses a few different looks, maybe from some different personnel groupings, different formations, different shifts in motions, so that the defense doesn't exactly know what it is, and then build a few play action shots off of that. Yep. So I think for me, as I'm watching this game, I'm going, all right, next week, can we limit mistakes and not beat ourselves on special teams? That will be a big win. Can we minimize penalties? Yeah, that's always important. Can we take some shots down the field in the passing game? Even if we don't complete it, we just got to put the threat out there that we're working on it, and we're going to start threatening defenses there. And then can we find some run concepts that could be our identity on the offense, that our offensive line can hang their hat on and get excited about, and they can get excited when Quinshon makes a big run and he finishes with his shoulders down and his shoulders pads going towards the end zone. Like, those are little victories that I think the offense can get excited about, and you can feel like okay, we've made some progress and we've got a stepping stone to make another step in the right direction.
Before we get into the big fig and get into the trenches and the trench report, just kind of to piggyback on everything you just said there, which you laid it out beautifully on the offensive side. Let's talk quarterback specifically. We've got 8 games left. What do you kind of want to see the plan at quarterback be? And we've said all along it's on Dillon Gabriel. You know, his job once he was inserted in there was to make sure you didn't want to see anybody else through, you know, his starts now. A little bit of a mixed bag, I think, to be fair. What kind of do you want to see over these final 8 games at that position?
Well, I think we've seen a lot from Dillon Gabriel, and we haven't seen enough at this point to say, like, ooh, I want to see more to see if he could be our franchise quarterback next year. I mean, when you draft a guy in the 3rd round, you're kind of thinking he's going to be maybe a backup and possibly a developmental quarterback. That maybe somewhere down the line he could be a starter. I think it's pretty clear right now that he's not going to be the franchise quarterback next year. You know, I think it makes sense to see what else you have. And I think at some point, I don't know if it's this week or next week, and I'd love to hear from the Browns and Coach Stefanski about, like, when is Shedeur going to get an opportunity? Is it this week? But I think it makes sense. You got to see him. Like, he was the reason you drafted him this last year was because he was a great value. You knew he had some upside. You knew he had a lot of growing to do. He had a lot to learn, but you wanted to have an opportunity to see both him and Dillon most likely this season, because you have to make that decision next year. And you have to understand 2 first-round picks, that's probably going to be a quarterback. And so we need to know who these quarterbacks are on this roster. So, I mean, I don't know if it's this year or this week, but you have to see Shedeur. And honestly, I think we've seen Dillon right now, and there's been ups and downs, but I'm not seeing enough progress in the right direction to say, yeah, I want to see more of that right now, because I still think that he can convince us enough that we don't need to draft a quarterback in the 1st round next year. He hasn't done that. I mean, I think that's an unbiased position if you've watched these games. And so I think it makes sense. You got to see Shedeur.
All right, let's hit the trench port. It's brought to you by Big Fig, the mattress made for more, crafted in Cleveland, just like our Browns, next to Myles Garrett, Carson Schlesinger, Denzel Ward. Is anyone on defense playing better than Alex Wright? Anyone on this team? I mean, he's been lights out this year. He had a big one this past weekend, Hoff.
Are we allowed to include Myles Garrett?
I think I mentioned him first.
Yes.
Yeah, he was the one I mentioned first.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I had him first.
Poor
first.
listening skills.
It's all right. You've slept
there.
for 2 hours in 3 days. You were in Germany. You've had 66 beers.
My fault.
It's fine.
Yeah. Let me tell you, 36 hours, no food, 36 beers is not a great diet. I wouldn't recommend it for anybody.
No.
Like
even though
Andre
they're
the
very
Giant.
clean, crisp, delicious Hallett's beers. What's that?
It's like Andre the Giant for a mortal
really
man.
is.
That's an
Yeah.
incredible performance by you.
I felt like him this morning, 6 feet under, when I was trying to get out of bed. So no, I think Alex Wright. You know, to me, if you're looking for bright spots on this team right now, clearly Alex Wright is a huge bright spot. The defensive line, I think, obviously we knew that they were going to be one of our strengths, but playing great football. Carson Schlesinger, obviously. Continuing to play really good. So I would throw him in there maybe also as another guy that's maybe you said him already too as well, but as another guy that's been really impressive and fun to watch. I mean, he had another 10 tackles in the game, half a sack, 2
Beast.
TFLs. I mean, he's all over the field. Beast. I mean, and so the great thing is that this defense is really as advertised. They're the team that you thought they were. And unless you've played in the NFL, and I never played defense in the NFL, but I still respect how hard it is to play defense consistently when your offense is not doing anything. And it's so difficult because of how hard and how tiring it is to run to the football with maximum effort every single play, only to have to come back out on the field 10 minutes later after a 3-and-out by your offense or after 4 or 5 plays by your offense. Like, it is really, really hard to keep that level up. And we always thought that when we played the Steelers, who were one of, the number one defense in the league, like, it seemed like the first half of my career, we said, all we got to do is extend a drive with 1 first down and they'll get tired because they're disguising, they're moving all over the field. They have to run and cover different zones with their zone blitzes. And so we knew that the longer the drive went on, the more exhausted they were going to be, the more vulnerable they were going to be. But if their offense kept the football and we would go 3 and out. They're fresh, and the ball's in their court, and they're going to be really tough to beat. And so for the defense to continue to play the way they have been, with the offense struggling the way they have been, I think is a huge bright spot. And I think you got to feel really good about the defensive line, the way they're playing, and the way the defense as a whole is holding things together and still giving you an opportunity to win, even in spite of offensive ineptitude.
Hoff, get some rest.
Yes, seriously.
Thanks for your time, buddy, and your tales of greatness in Germany.
I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me on. I will mention briefly that Katarina Witt was the coin toss captain in the game.
Oh, my God.
I'm aware.
Wait, that's who that was?
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, my God.
Like, how do I know this person?
Hoff tagged me in the post, Hoff, which I appreciated
Hoff,
very much.
I did not see this. I did
not. Yes.
She was a number
That's
one draft
Katarina.
pick.
The great Katarina Witt.
Hoff,
Yes.
Did you get a picture?
I grabbed a video. So it was interesting. So like the job that I do in some of these international games is I'm like the sideline host. And so we're pretty heavy pregame. So we're doing hits every 3-4 minutes. And like we had just finished right before the national anthem, because obviously everybody's in commercial break and they come right back. So we just finished and they announced Katharina Witt, gold medalist from Germany. They were saying it in German, of course, but I saw it and I was like, oh my gosh, I got so excited. And unfortunately, nobody of the other people that I was working with were as excited as me or realized like the greatness that was in front of them. And unfortunately, right after she did the coin flip, as she was walking off, I was going to like run over and try to get a picture like a little Superboy fan. But we had another hit. So I wasn't willing to get fired quite yet in that moment. Maybe Katarina Witt in 1990, I would have.
Oh, my God.
But the 2025 version, I was willing to keep my job and just, take a video from afar and be a fan.
She was 110 miles an hour painting the black of the home plate.
Her and Tamba?
Come on. I
mean, that was...
What a time to be alive. What a time to be alive. In Calgary.
Yes. Yes.
Did they save any of the seed stock? As a cattle man, Hall of Fame bees, doing a lot of embryo transfer and artificial insemination and trying to make these super cattle. So hopefully they save some of the seed stock and we can recreate the greatness that could have been had to have some children.
Oh,
unbelievable!
Man. Yes, indeed.
Incredible effort out of you, Hoff. Thanks for your time.
What
buddy.
a treat!
All right, guys. Thanks for putting a smile on my face, guys. We'll talk to you tomorrow after I sleep for like 18 hours.
Yes.
There he
Slumber.
Is. The great Hoff and the Joe Thomas half hour of the program that was great. I did not see the Katarina Witt stuff.
That's incredible.
Oh, yeah. All right. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily. We're presented by Bally Bet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. Please bet responsibly on 850 ESPN Cleveland. The new Rumpke Recycling Resource Center helps feed the circular economy by supplying Ohio companies and others in the Midwest with the material they need to put what you place in your bins to good use. To learn more about the facility and how you can recycle more, visit rumpke.com today. Time to head to the podium, presented by Vivid Seats. Vivid Seats, push your official fan experience package today for the ultimate game day. Here is safety Ronnie Hickman.
Yeah, Ron.
Goes down.
Wondering, I mean, you went out there, you made a big play for the team yesterday. Justin's first interception of the season, and then you guys capitalized on it. How frustrating for you that you guys weren't able to close out that game and finish it out and get the win?
Yeah, it's tough. Especially when you cut the tape on and you kind of see those mistakes are, very self-inflicting and things that, we can, we could have done better at. So it's very frustrating. But you got to move on.
Hey, Ronnie, amid all of these struggles that the team has had on in whatever phase it may be, like how are you guys as an entire unit, not just defense and offense, special teams, how are you guys as a full team getting yourselves through these struggles, trying to make sure that locker room doesn't spiral, that in the case of so many teams that it can?
I think it's just a test to the bond we have as teammates in this locker room and, everyone in this building. Coach Stefanski preaches about family and we take that to heart, whether that's good and bad, wins and losses. So, the conversations, they're going to be tough, but as a family, you're going to have those moments. And we just got to learn from it and get better.
Does it feel like for you, like there's enough going on in the week, enough maybe adjustments and changes before the game that can create change and it's just not going your way? Or like, does there need to be more change in a week before a game to get that action on the field?
I think we had a great week of practice. I think guys were locked in and on both sides of the ball, offense and defense, I felt like there was energy. I thought we came out of the bye week, on the same page as a team, as a whole unit. It just comes down to executing on Sunday and then, those self-inflicting, plays that'll cost you in the end.
Thanks, Ronnie.
Hey, Ronnie, I know the defense came off the field after those first three plays. You force the 3 and out and you guys score. And then the next time you go on the field, it's a 14-7 deficit because of the 2 special teams touchdowns. I guess, what was happening with you guys as you go back out there and suddenly you're trailing and it's a totally different situation?
I think, the sudden change thing as a defense, we've been able to grow throughout the years. But I know for us as a defense, our number one goal is to get the ball back to our offense. And I think we've improved as far as, those sudden changes where you're back on the field or the scoreboard changes drastically. As a defense, no matter what it is, when they put that ball down, our main job is to get the ball back to the offense.
And I know, like special teams, Bubba's been like such a focus. It seems like from the outside, Kevin talked about still believing in him and what everyone can do on special teams. I guess for players, like what has that been like and that relationship with him?
Bubba, he's a great special team coach and he's very passionate. I think if you ask anyone in the building or who's been around him, he cares, not just about, the special teams, but, just about the guys in this locker room and the guys that, that play for him in this organization. So, it's on us as players to go out there and, and do our job.
Hey, Ronnie, I wanted to follow up with that about Bubba. So after a game like yesterday where they give up the 2 kick returns for touchdowns, what is Bubba like, on the sideline after the game or even today in meetings?
He's coaching. He's going over corrections and he's coaching.
Kevin earlier said that he has a ton of faith in Bubba. Like, does yours ever get shaken when there's a game like that where special teams is a big part of a loss?
No, it's not really my job to be, being shaky about a coaching position or whatever you're trying to get at. But Bubba's our coach. And, he coaches us throughout the week hard. He puts us in good positions. And that's that.
Sorry, I couldn't get my hand raised fast enough, Jordan. Ronnie, I just wanted to ask about Carson because it just seems like he's been playing so well for a rookie, and Kevin today said he had Wolverine blood for going out there and fighting through the high ankle sprain. And just from your perspective in that defense, in the back of that defense, watching what he does, how much has he made an impact in his first year with you guys?
I think you guys see it. I think, everyone watching the game can see the type of impact a player like that has. So, It's just been great. You know, he's a young guy, but able to impact the game in, you know, such a tremendous way. And you know, for him to come back after, you know, the little injury he had and still be extremely productive in making plays for us, it's huge and just a testament to, you know, the type of player he is and, you know, how much he wanted to be back out there with his guys.
All right. Thanks, Ronnie. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, time for that Microsoft Minute presented by Microsoft Surface Copilot plus PC for our final thoughts on the game against the Jets. Dr. Z.
Yeah, it's just, look, at the end of the day, the Browns just have to be better, right? You've got to be better in terms of your discipline, not jumping off sides in a situation that that ends the game when you do so. You've got to be better on special teams, not allowing catastrophic plays. I don't think that we're asking too much, right? Just don't allow catastrophic plays on special teams. Yeah. That's really, forgetting being new, let's not have catastrophic plays there. Offensively, we just have to be better. We got to do more. We've got to get the ball down the field. We've got to create running lanes for Quinshon Judkins. All of it. You know, you're 2-7 because we have not consistently been good on offense. The defense has been better at home than it's been on the road. And on the road, it's really been good for a half, 3 quarters. And then eventually it's just like, okay, this is enough. But the defense has been good enough for this to be a team that is contending for the AFC North Division title. It's the offense and special teams have not. And that's why we are where we are. And we've got to get this offense going. We've got to get the quarterback position going. And you know, if not, we have to explore a great many things, right? That's it. I mean, that's the bottom line.
Simple.
This offense, it was great to see Jerry Jeudy get involved. More of that. We've got to find ways to make explosives. And it's easier said than done, obviously, because if it was easy, it would be done already. I mean, everybody knows it. Unfortunately, these games have an all too familiar feel. And I'm just hoping over the final 8 games, which is still a lot of football to be played, that we can find some kind of a spark offensively.
Yeah, and the way that this team was built offensively was never going to be a team that could overcome this type of calamity on special teams and this type of lack of discipline.
Right.
I mean, you weren't going to be able to overcome that. You don't have the Bengals offense. You don't have the Seahawks offense. So you have to play perfect in those other areas to have success. And right now we're just not. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily. We're presented by Ballybet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. Please bet responsibly on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Head to Myers, scan the Hillshire Farms QR code in the meat department till November 11th for a chance to win a suite for 10 to the Steelers game on December 28th. Speaking of the Steelers, Asante Samuel Jr. signing with the Steelers today. He had the injury and went on a little tour. They needed some help. Juan Thornhill was cut earlier today. Obviously, they don't play the same position, but now free agent corner Asante Samuel Jr. joins Pittsburgh's back end. So that happened here. Other big news in the NFL, Travis Hunter done for the year with surgery. So those are kind of the big deals of the day in the National Football League. Join Z and Gerard Thursday night, 7 to 8 for the Kevin Stefanski Show live from MGM Northfield Park. Meet Browns wide receiver Gage Larvin, who will be signing autographs during the show. It's brought to you by MGM Northfield Park. Must be 21 to attend. And that'll do it for us. We're back tomorrow. Thanks for listening. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland.